Let's talk about money. As of October of 2022, the student loan debt in the US is $1.7 trillion. This is split among 42.8 million people, which means on average, the loan debt per student is $39,720. And because approximately there's 335,512,000 Americans as of October of 2022, this means that roughly 1 in 8 people have student loan debt in the United States. So it's a pretty big problem, but let me share with you a couple strategies that I used that helped me graduate university debt-free. But first, here's some context on how much it actually cost me. I studied engineering at the University of Waterloo in Canada, where I graduated in 2021. The undergrad program was 5 years long and it consisted of 14 terms. 8 of those terms were study terms and 6 were work terms. During my work terms, I do internships, and during my study terms, I take classes and have to pay tuition. The 8 study terms were broken down as follows: 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4A, and 4B. If you're unfamiliar with this semester naming system, 1A represents the first half of first year, 1B represents the second half of first year, 2A represents the first half of second year, etc. Each semester or study term was 4 months long. I'm not gonna get into too much detail here, but 1A cost me $14,755, 1B cost me $12,640, 2A cost me $13,583, 2B cost me $13,779, 3A cost me $13,159, 3B cost me $11,982, 4A cost me $8,199, and 4B cost me $8,449. These numbers all include tuition fees, living expenses, some costs for textbooks and school supplies, as well as some mandatory student council fees. But summing it all up, this piece of paper and my engineering ring cost me $96,546. Wow, I could have bought a Porsche Taycan or a Tesla Model S with that kind of money. That being said, here are 7 ways on how I was able to pay for this hefty engineering school bill without accumulating student loan debt. You may have seen this one coming, but you have to do internships. That way, you can use the money you make for these internships to simply pay for school. Remember how I told you earlier my 5-year engineering program had 8 study terms and 6 work terms? Personally, I only did 5 work terms, and to show you how important and helpful internships can be, here's roughly how much I made per internship. And just as an FYI, each internship was about 4 months long. In my first work term, I made $3,000. In my second work term, I made $12,288. In my third work term, I made $12,934.40. In my fourth work term, I made $9,577. That internship was a little less because it was cut short due to the pandemic. In my fifth work term, I made $25,872. That one was a little higher than usual because I was working at Tesla at the time. Altogether, that adds up to $63,671. That would cover about 65% of my university expenses. But keep in mind that this $63,000 also needed to cover some expenses that I had incurred during my internships, so that amount didn't fully go to paying for my university tuition. But it still goes to show how important it is to not waste your summers or your time off when you're in university. I've talked a lot in my past videos on how to land internships, but to quickly summarize, here are 6 steps you need to follow to land an internship. 1. Work on personal projects or projects for engineering clubs or teams at your school. 2. Put these projects on your resume and portfolio. 3. Apply to jobs on LinkedIn or any credible job hunting site that matches your major. 4. Message recruiters or hiring managers on LinkedIn expressing your interest. 5. Prepare for technical interviews by creating study notes and doing mock interviews. 6. Once you get the internship, put it on your resume and portfolio and redo steps 3 to 5. Now, as amazing as internships are, they sometimes aren't enough to pay for that hefty university bill. You know, unless you do every single internship at a big tech company like Apple or Google and get paid like $40 or $50 an hour. Realistically, that's quite unlikely since we don't get these kind of internships until our later years. So that's where scholarships come in. You need to finesse as many scholarships as possible. There are 3 main sources: your university's financial aid office, your government, and the internet. First, talk to the financial aid office at your school and see what they have to offer. I did this in my 4th year at the University of Waterloo, where I discovered this pretty really cool bursary application that I can do. I basically write a 500-word explanation of why I need additional financial support. A few weeks go by and I get an email saying I was qualified to get $3,000 for my study term. It's crazy, all it took was a few hours on a random Tuesday afternoon to write a 500-word paragraph, and now I have $3,000 in my bank account. That's a pretty good ROI. Another scholarship that I was able to get by just talking to my university's financial aid office was something called the President's Scholarship of Distinction. Basically, if you enter university with a grade 12 average above 95%, then you qualify to get $5,000 that you can put towards your tuition. They also had a bunch of other scholarships that you can apply to. Like if you had international experience through a study abroad term or some research experience from your time working with a professor, these things qualify you for more scholarships. Every university is a little bit different, so it's up to you to ask around, find out what they offer, and apply consistently every year. Second, let's talk about using what your university or country has to offer. For example, my university was in a province called Ontario in Canada. Because I'm a Canadian citizen and had lived in Ontario for over 12 months, I had qualified for this thing called OSAP. It stands for Ontario Student Assistance Program. It consists of an application that you fill out that contains a bunch of information related to your financial resources and educational costs. Based on that, you can qualify to get grants and loans from the government. A grant is money you don't have to pay back, whereas a loan is money you need to pay back. I personally declined the loans and only accepted the grants. Based on my financial information, I'd receive anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000 per semester. So if you're studying in Ontario like I was, definitely use OSAP. But if you're studying somewhere else around the world, then do your research to figure out what your city, state, province, country has to offer for you. You can also ask your teachers, professors, or upper year students about scholarships that are available in your local area. Now we can do more with the internet. You don't have to stop at searching for local scholarships. There are scholarships out there for everything. You can find scholarships for amateur basketball players, people of Arab descent, people who have dyslexia, people who are tall, left-handed, bilingual, etc. For example, I recently came across this scholarship on scholarships.com by an organization called Tall Clubs International. If you're under 21 years of age and are at least a 5'10" girl or a 6'2" man barefoot, then you qualify for a $1,000 scholarship. It's crazy, but I wasn't sure if it was real, so I googled is scholarships.com legit, and looks like it is. So if you're blessed with height genetics, use it. However, when searching for scholarships on the internet, just be careful because there are some sites that will try to trick you. They'll do this by showing you a really nice scholarship that seems legit, but it'll end up being a scam where they're just trying to steal your personal or banking information. Here are a couple of things to keep in mind to know if the scholarship is legit or a scam. If it requires an essay or a few short answer responses, it's legit. If it requires proof of enrollment like your transcript, SAT scores, or recommendation letter, it's legit. If it's awarded once or twice a year, it's probably legit. Now, if it has no requirements other than entering your basic information, it's probably a scam. If it asks for your social insurance number or your social security number and it's not a government website, then it's probably a scam. If it asks for your banking information right away, it's a scam. If it claims to award you weekly or monthly, it's a scam. And if it feels like a sales pitch, it's definitely a scam. Anyways, the first 2 tips are about how you can make as much money as possible to pay for your tuition. Now, the next 5 tips will be about how you can make your university or college expenses as low as possible. First, you need to stick to a strict budget that matches what you can afford. Let's say you can only afford to spend $1,300 per month, so here's how you can break down your budget. $250 on groceries, $650 on rent, $100 on bus transportation, $100 on eating out, $50 on a phone plan, and $150 on miscellaneous expenses like the gym, school events, etc. If you went over, find out why so you can avoid it next month. This is important because sometimes you think you're not overspending, but then when you add all the numbers together, you'll be surprised on how much money you're actually paying. For example, here's something I pulled out of my expenses tracker. Under the groceries category, I spent $69.71 on March 3rd, $44.18 on March 10th, etc. All my monthly groceries added up to $245.65, which was under $250, which is great. That was within budget. But if you look at my eating out category, I wanted to keep it under $100, but I ended up spending $155.98. Similarly, in the miscellaneous category, I ended up spending $240, which was over my $120 limit. So to prevent yourself from falling into debt, it's important to add your expenses at the end of every month so you can notice these little things and avoid it. Eating out takes a huge toll on your wallet, especially as a broke college student. You should definitely buy groceries, eat at home, and only eat out on your special occasion, not every day. Just for some inspiration, here are a couple basic meals that you can make for yourself if you're tight on time and have no idea how to cook. For lunch and dinner, you want to make sure you're having carbs, protein, and some kind of vegetables. First, for carbs, buy yourself a rice cooker, which is about $20, and buy yourself a big bag of rice, which is another $20. Take half a cup of rice, 1 full cup of water, and put them together in a rice cooker. Hit cook and wait 15 minutes. That's it, you don't need to be a master chef. Second, for protein, if you don't know how to cook, I don't want to risk you getting salmonella, which is an infection that you can get in your stomach if you eat raw chicken or meat because you didn't know how to cook it. Instead, go to Costco, Walmart, or your local grocery store, buy a rotisserie chicken or whatever fresh cooked meat they have there. Don't buy microwavable frozen stuff, that's nasty. But anyways, boom, that's it. Now you got protein for lunch and dinner. FYI, Costco sells rotisserie chicken for like $5. Third, for vegetables, you got a couple options. One, you can buy a big bag of frozen broccoli and cook it. And here's an easy way to do so. Take your frozen broccoli, dampen it in water, drain that water, and then microwave it for 3 to 4 minutes. Take it out, add some salt and pepper, and boom, you're good to go. 2, buy avocados, cucumbers, tomatoes, or whatever vegetable you like, wash it, cut it, and add it to your meal. Finally, if you want to add some flavor, add some sauce to your meal. Bitchin' sauce is one of my favorite. But yeah, that's it. This meal costs $5 and takes less than 15 minutes to make. That's the same amount of time it'll take you to walk across the street to Subway, Lazeez, or whatever your restaurant of choice is. Oh, and for breakfast, maybe you can make yourself some oatmeal, maybe some eggs, or maybe make yourself a protein shake. If you're a student and you're trying to save money, you should definitely not be eating out for breakfast or buying super expensive coffee. Next, this one is kind of obvious, but before buying anything, ask yourself twice if you really need it. For example, today is November 1st, and let's say you came across this cool bedroom surveillance camera on Amazon. Instead, wait till November 6th, and then ask yourself if you really need it then. If the answer to that question is yes, then wait another 5 days till November 11th and ask yourself again. If the answer is still yes and you can afford it, then go ahead and buy it. But most likely, in that 10-day span, you'll probably forget you even wanted it to begin with. Moving on, don't buy textbooks brand new. You can literally save yourself hundreds of dollars by getting a used textbook from an upper year student. Next, this may be easier said than done, but if your university or college campus isn't too far from home and you can make the commute, it can be worth it to live at home to save some money. Just to put things into perspective, let's say you're renting a room near campus and you're paying $650 a month for rent, and you live in this place for all 4 years of university, which is about 32 months since each school year is 8 months long. Doing the math, you'll end up spending $20,800 just on rent for these 4 years. But if you live at home, that's an extra $20,000 in your pocket. Now, I'm not saying you should do this because there's obviously pros and cons to living at home. For example, it may be better for your financial health, but is it worth it for your mental health? That's for you to decide. For the most part, I would live on campus during my study terms, and I would live at home during my internship or work terms. Anyways, I hope this video brought you value. If it did, check out this video where I share how much my mechanical engineering degree really cost me, or check out that video where I explain in more detail how much money I made in my engineering internships. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace!